A motel owner and his sister run a booming smoked meat business, keeping a dark secret that adds to its exceptional taste. In Grainville, an elderly man named Vincent Smith manages a motel called MotelHell with his younger sister, Ida. The establishment is easily spotted through its red neon sign, which features a persistently flickering letter O. Behind the motel is a farm where the farmer produces his famous smoked meat. For over 30 years, customers have loved the exceptional taste of the product. One night, armed with his rifle, Vincent takes his pickup truck to the woods to capture new targets. After setting up traps in the road, he patiently waits in the darkness. An unlucky couple named Bo and Terry, riding on a motorcycle, passes by the area. Suddenly, their front tire is shot out, causing them to lose balance and crash by the side of the road. Later, Vincent takes the injured man to a secret garden and brings the woman to the motel that morning. Inside, his younger sister, Ida, is diligently preparing breakfast. Upon arrival, the farmer instructs his sibling to open their late grandmother's room so Terry can rest there. Ida then examines the unconscious lady, confirming to her brother that she is still alive. Following this, she requests him to fetch some ingredients. Later that day, a family of 4 arrives at the motel to purchase smoked meat. Vincent presents them with a souvenir sampler box, assuring them that his products contain no preservatives. Meanwhile, the 2 daughters play outside and venture into the slaughterhouse, where the sight of lifeless pigs suddenly startles them. As they hastily exit, a person wearing a pig's head appears. The girls quickly return to their car, screaming in fear. Before the family departs, Vincent places his business sticker on their car and warmly invites them to return. He then hops onto his tractor to reach his secret garden and pauses at the vined wall. He opens a hidden door and then plays music before closing it. Meanwhile, Sheriff Bruce, the farmer's naive younger brother, arrives at the motel but finds nobody around. Suddenly, Ida attacks him from behind, pushing him onto the bed. Seconds later, the motel manager intervenes, asking his sister to stop her prank and release the man. Shortly after, the sheriff gets up and notices the lovely Terry behind the bead curtain. Vincent then approaches the woman, instructing Ida to fetch a bathrobe for the lady. When the anxious Terry asks to see her boyfriend, the farmer reveals that the man passed away that morning and he buried the body before sunrise. Upon learning this, the woman is in shock. Ida promptly puts a robe on her to help soothe her distress. Vincent then explains the incident to his brother, falsely claiming that during his morning hunt, he heard a crash and saw a motorcycle on the side of the road, where he discovered the couple. Terry reacts, questioning Vincent for burying her boyfriend without consent. Bruce interjects, explaining that in their county, it is allowed. Shortly after, they go to the cemetery, ultimately convincing the woman that Bo is truly gone. She rushes to her boyfriend's grave and mourns his loss. Close by, Vincent explains to Bruce that he decided to bury the man because his body was no longer intact. He believes he made the right decision, thinking Terry would only be disappointed if she saw her boyfriend in an awful condition. Afterward, the farmer tends to the pigs in the pen. Suddenly, Bob, the health inspector, arrives to examine the area. Vincent then steps away for a while and heads to the slaughterhouse. While the man checks the swine, he notices a vine barrier from a distance, piquing his curiosity. Unexpectedly, he hears strange sounds coming from the meat processing area. Intrigued, he walks toward it, and the farmer, with blood on his apron and face, startles him, causing him to tumble into the mud. Before driving away, Bob informs the farmer to inspect the animal's hooves, as some appear infected. In the evening, a tearful Terry watches TV, still mourning her boyfriend's loss. She then expresses her confusion, contemplating whether to stay or go elsewhere. Vincent comforts her, reminding her she's not alone because she still has herself. He emphasizes that her survival was a gift from God. Grateful, the woman thanks the farmer and Ida for saving her life before heading to bed. Shortly after, Vincent steps outside and observes a passing vehicle. It turns out to be Bob, who returned to conduct a further investigation secretly. The man arrives at the vined area and climbs to the other side, discovering a mysterious garden. As he walks, the health inspector examines the place and notices some plants covered with sacks. Just as he is about to leave, he becomes puzzled when a sack suddenly moves. Approaching, he removes the covering, revealing Bo buried up to the neck and unable to speak. Unfortunately, seconds after Bob discovers the farmer's dark secret, Vincent appears behind him to knock him down. Shortly after, the farmer proceeds to hunt for new targets. He sets bear traps for the approaching van with band members inside, causing the vehicle to flip by the side of the road. Upon hearing the survivors, the farmer releases gas inside to put them to sleep. Later, Vincent loads the unconscious people onto the back of his pickup truck and then picks up Ida at the motel. On the way to the garden, the farmer expresses his thoughts about using traps on their targets, claiming that it makes him creative. Before parking, he excites his sister when he mentions a surprise awaits her. Arriving at the secret garden, Ida switches on the green lights and visits Bo, who has stitches on his neck. Afterward, Vincent reveals to her that he also captured the health inspector, prompting laughter between them. Afterward, Vincent uses an auger to drill deep holes into the soil and instructs Ida to plant the unconscious people in them. Once the captives are all buried up to the neck, Vincent and Ida remove their vocal cords to prevent them from screaming and asking for help. Terry joins Vincent, Ida, and Bruce the following morning on a picnic. She compliments the smoked meat for its exceptional taste. The sheriff concurs, suggesting that happy customers have stopped returning to regular meats after trying the farmer's products. Soon, the woman becomes curious about how the farmer started his business. In response, Vincent shares that they couldn't afford an icebox in the old days, so his grandma smoked chickens, rabbits, eels, and even frogs. The farmer adds that they once had an annoying dog that disturbed his grandma during her naps. Because of that, the old woman asked him to put it down. After that, he smoked their pet's meat and served it for dinner, which their granny enjoyed. As the siblings laugh while reminiscing about the moment, Terry feels a bit disturbed, but Bruce mentions that he also tried it and found it to taste like goat meat. Suddenly, Ida attempts to reveal the secret of the delicious meat. Witnessing this, the farmer punches her in the stomach and interjects, explaining to the curious woman that he uses spices to enhance his product's flavor. Observing Terry's shocked reaction toward the siblings, Bruce invites her for a walk and takes her to the lake. While on a boat, the sheriff explains to her that Vincent and Ida enjoy teasing each other, emphasizing they mean no harm. Shortly after, he invites her to see a movie at the drive-in called The Monster That Challenged the World, which she gladly accepts. That evening, the duo nourishes their captives with a special meal through a funnel attached to a long hose connected to their mouths. Meanwhile, Bruce and Terry head to the drive-in. The man uses his authority to intimidate other moviegoers to secure a better viewing space. Then, they use binoculars to watch the film happily. On the road, Susie abruptly hits the brakes upon encountering a herd of cows blocking their way. Her blonde friend, Debbie, who believes the animals look fake, suggests that the driver should knock them over. However, Susie exits the car and attempts to move the cardboard animals instead. While doing so, a masked Vincent suddenly appears, putting her to sleep. Witnessing this, Debbie promptly takes over the wheel and drives away to escape the danger. While watching a movie, Bruce attempts to make a move on Terry, but she rejects his advances. Suddenly, they hear the panicking Debbie on the radio, urgently asking for help as she is being chased by a pickup truck. Upon hearing this, the sheriff asks for her location and drives as fast as possible to rescue the woman. However, Bruce's car gets stuck on the way, and as he attempts to push it, he falls into the mud. Unfortunately, Vincent captures Debbie and sinks the woman's car into the marsh. Then, he plants her in the secret garden with Susie. Returning to the motel, the farmer encounters a couple interested in booking a room for the night. Suddenly, a mud-soaked Bruce arrives with Terry, informing his brother about the screaming woman seeking help. Ida then interjects, suggesting that it could be some kids pulling pranks. After the sheriff leaves and Terry goes to bed, Vincent entertains the guests and gives them a key to their cabin. He also notes that they didn't need to register, indicating they were his new targets. Upon entering the room, the couple prepares for a romantic evening. Suddenly, Vincent and Ida appear by their door with ropes on their shoulders. Seeing the duo, the guests get excited, assuming the siblings will join them. However, as they lay on the bed, Vincent and Ida start tying them and putting them to sleep. The following day, Terry expresses her comfort with living on the farm. This statement pleases Vincent, and he asks her if she's interested in learning the ancient art of meat smoking during her stay. The woman agrees, prompting him to take her to the farm. After Vincent leaves with his tractor, Terry becomes curious and explores the slaughterhouse, trying out some equipment. She notices a strange room and attempts to open it, but a defensive Ida grabs her by the neck, questioning why she's in the prohibited area. The butcher releases her when Terry explains that the farmer wants to teach her meat smoking. She suggests they swim in the lake instead to prevent her from discovering where the meat comes from. However, while the woman enjoys, Ida takes out her sharp weapon and pierces her swim ring. She then pretends to sink, luring Terry to come to her aid. As the woman approaches, the butcher reveals her sinister intentions and attempts to drown her. Suddenly, Vincent intervenes and rescues Terry, bringing her back to the motel. As the farmer tends to the woman, Ida apologizes and asks for forgiveness, explaining that she is scared. After the butcher leaves, Terry expresses gratitude for the farmer's kindness. Thinking that the old man saved her life multiple times, she falls in love with him, driving her to kiss him. However, the conservative farmer rejects her advances, explaining that they should be married before engaging in a romantic moment. Later, Vincent visits Reverend Billy to schedule his marriage with Terry. Shortly after, as the priest walks down the street, he spots Bruce's car and congratulates him on his brother's upcoming marriage. This news suddenly confuses him, prompting him to be curious about his brother's fiancée. Upon learning that Vincent's bride is Terry, the sheriff immediately becomes concerned and heads to the motel to save the woman, suspecting that the farmer coerced her into marriage. When he arrives at the motel, Bruce raids Terry's room and finds her in the bathroom. The woman then confirms that she is going to marry the farmer. Hearing this, The sheriff expresses disagreement with her decision, informing her that Vincent suffers from syphilis of the brain. He also notes that they will have an awful honeymoon night because of his brother's wrinkly skin. Suddenly, the farmer appears behind him and threatens him with his rifle. When he fires a shot at an empty wall, the frightened Bruce runs and drives away. That evening, Vincent presents Terry with a ring, and Ida joins them to mark their official engagement. While the couple shares a kiss, Ida discreetly adds an illicit substance to the woman's champagne. Upon Terry losing consciousness, the duo swiftly heads to the secret garden, hypnotizing their victims with swirling colors. Once the men are entranced, Ida secures ropes around their heads connected to the tractor. Following this, she drives the vehicle, ending their captives' lives. Vincent subsequently takes over the wheel, pulling the bodies out from the soil and transporting them to the slaughterhouse. Unbeknownst to them, Bruce investigates the disappearances in Grainville and uncovers a group of vehicles submerged in the marsh. Growing suspicious of his brother, he drives to the motel to alert and rescue Terry. Vincent tends to the bodies in the slaughterhouse, while Ida returns to the motel to grab a bite. While enjoying her food, the butcher overhears Bruce revealing Vincent's secret to Terry, who is initially skeptical. However, the woman becomes convinced that the sheriff is telling the truth when he shows her the spikes he dug out from Beau's motorcycle. He adds that he discovered approximately 200 cars his brother ambushed and sunk in the marsh. Unfortunately, as Bruce exits the door, Ida knocks him down. She then holds Terry at gunpoint and brings her to the meat processing area. Meanwhile, due to some of the bodies being removed, the soil around Beau loosens, enabling him to break free and assist the others in their escape. In the slaughterhouse, the farmer commands his sister to release Terry and bring Bruce to the room. However, as the butcher returns to the motel, the vengeful escapees seize the opportunity to attack her. Meanwhile, Vincent finally shares the unsettling truth to his fiancée, that his renowned smoked meat is, in fact, human flesh. He attempts to justify his actions by explaining that he's addressing the challenges of overpopulation and food shortages. As the farmer carries the human bodies to another room, Terry attempts to escape but fails when she realizes that the door is locked. The farmer then catches her and puts her to sleep. Just as he's about to tie the woman, Beau, in his attempt to rescue his girlfriend, falls from the window above and launches an attack. However, the farmer retaliates by strangling him, ending his life. In the motel, Bruce awakens and grabs a rifle. He hurriedly goes to the slaughterhouse and breaks the lock. Upon entering, the sheriff discovers Terry tied to the conveyor belt. As he tries to free the woman, Vincent, donning a pig's head, appears with a chainsaw. Desperate to defend himself, Bruce grabs another chainsaw, leading to their dangerous duel. However, amid their brawl, the conveyor belt activates, slowly propelling the unconscious Terry toward the slicing equipment. Moments later, the woman awakens, realizing the imminent danger she's about to face, prompting her to scream for help. Upon hearing the woman's cry, Bruce persists in his struggle against Vincent, eventually inflicting a deep wound on the farmer's side. Shortly after, he hurries to switch off the equipment, ultimately saving Terry's life. After that, the sheriff and the woman return to the struggling farmer. As he meets his end, Vincent informs Bruce that he can have the motel and even the secret garden. In his final words, the farmer confesses being the biggest hypocrite because he used preservatives on his meat. Suddenly, the couple hears a scream from the garden. Upon reaching the location, Bruce and Terry discover Ida buried with her head first, a vengeful act carried out by their captives. As they depart from the motel, the sheriff confides in the woman, sharing that he grew up in the place but is grateful he ran away when he was 11. When Bruce contemplates the possibility of an investigation, Terry suggests burning the place down, deeming it an evil motel. Nearby, the neon signage MotelHell short circuits. The letter O completely goes out, implying that the establishment truly is a hellish place.
Subscribe to watch more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.